Welcome to the wonderful world of wine. We are your hosts, Mark Lindsay and Kim Simone, exploring all things wine with you. We air weekly on Franklin Radio, WFPR 102.9 FM, and we are listened to all over the world on WFPR.FM. Hello, Kim. How are you today?
I'm well, Mark. How are you?
I am very excited today, Kim. We have a very special guest, Francesca Negri. Francesca is joining us today from Italy. Welcome, Francesca.
Hi, Mark and Kim. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you so much for being on our show. It's mid-afternoon for us, and it's a little later in the day for you. So I guess a buonasera is in order since we've got a little bit of a time change delay going on here.
That's no problem. Here is dinner time in Italy.
Francesca is a wineaholic, smile pusher, journalist, writer, wine tutor, wine show host, and so much more. Her website is geishagourmet.com. Francesca, can you please start by telling us where you are in Italy and if the current third wave of COVID has affected you?
Yes, thank you, Mark. First of all, sorry for my English because I'm not so. It's not so usually for me to speak English, but I try to do my best. I come from Trento, in Trentino Alto Adige, the region of Dolomites, north of Verona. Since years, I'm living mostly in Bergamo, in Lombardy. Currently, Lombardy is a red zone like most of the region of Italy, and we will be in lockdown until Easter. However, the situation at this moment seems quite stable, and the peak of a third wave of infection seems to have been reached. Now the situation should improve. Cross fingers.
Absolutely. It feels like how it is here too. You know, we're sort of riding these COVID waves, and they go up and they go down and they go up and they go down. But hopefully, we're hoping at least here with more people being vaccinated, we'll be able to open up more things, especially our poor friends in the restaurant industry, which have really been hit hard.
Yeah. The same in Italy.
So can you tell us a little bit about how you got started in wine? It seems like lots of people that we speak to that are in the wine industry, you know, people come to it from so many different ways. And sometimes it's just a love of wine. Other times it's jobs that they were working in. And we always love to hear everyone's stories about how they got into this business or how they developed a real passion for wine.
Well, you know, I was born in a region, Trentino, where wine is part of people's everyday life. The children are taken to the nursery school to see how the grapes are harvested and how the grapes are pressed to make wine. So I can say the wine has always been in my life. My passion for wine, however, began at the age of around 18. At that time, I had a sommelier boyfriend, and he is a restaurant owner too. And with him, the fun was going to try restaurants and wines around Italy. And at that time, I thought how nice it would be to meet the chefs that prepare these dishes and to meet who produce these wines in person. And today, many of these people are friends. So in any case, for years, wine and food have remained only great passion for me, which I shared with food and wine lover friends like me. Then around 2000, I started to be a journalist, and in those days, newspaper and television did not deal with cooking at all like today. I think it was the same in USA too. Mm-hmm. At a certain point, I was working, and I work today for Corriere della Sera, that is one of the most famous newspaper in Italy. I was in editorial offices in Trento and Bolzano, and they were looking for someone to write a weekly column on a typical recipe. Nobody wanted to do it, and so I proposed myself. And
Nobody wanted to write about recipes? Really?
nobody. In
Wow.
2000, nobody. They think that is no journalism to write about the recipe, about food, about wine. Think how many changes are in the last 20 years.
Yes, very true.
So my journalism in food and wine started in this way, and then it was all an escalation, a path in which I also meet famous people in the sector who advised me on how to become an increasingly important journalist in the sector. And above all, however, I must say that the most important thing was my tenacity, my ambition, and even more my passion. From an early age, you have to know that I dreamed not only of being a journalist, but also of being a writer. And today I have published more than 10 books. So I think my dreams comes true at the end.
Well, good for you for knowing what you wanted to do from such an early age and then making it happen. That this seems to be one of the things that I feel like I've heard from the most successful people is they had an idea and they went out and they really tried to do it and tried to get it. So
you have to believe, the power of dreams. You have to believe in you and in your dreams.
Francesca, did you have any formal wine, food, or journalist background, or you just did this all on your own?
Well, I built up my competence during my work, and during my work I attended WSET. You know, Wine and Spirit Trust. Yes, this is my school. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Going to winery, going to restaurant, and learn from the winemaker, learn from the chef the things.
So Francesca's website is Geisha Gourmet. And
Yeah.
can you talk about the ideas or the content behind the blog posts, what your focus is? Is it wine? Is it culture? Is it trends? Is it food? Or is it everything? Because it seems like everything.
Yeah. It's my blog is not a blog of recipe. It's a blog where I speak about the wonderful world of wine.
Nice.
And food. And on my blog, the idea from the beginning was to talk about wine and food with a feminine style, the feminine sense for food and wine. My idea has always been the fact that women talked about food and wine in a much more emotional way than men, and that this was good for mainstream disclosure. And another important thing, I have always thought that wine and food were the new symbols of female emancipation. Let me explain. Do you remember Elizabeth Garley Brown, the historic director of Cosmopolitan? Do you
Kim
remember?
probably does.
a little before my time, but yes.
Yeah, maybe you can remember. She caused a sensation in the 60s with her book Sex and the Single Girl, which later inspired Sex and the City.
Now that I know.
And in her book, she theorized that women should be free to have sex out of marriage without to be married, okay? And that they don't need men to afford whatever they wanted. Now, that these concepts are sufficiently clear in most civil society, I believe that wine and food are the new things we have to get rid of. Take pleasure in food and wine without guilt, to free ourselves from a society that instead it continues to make us believe that to be beautiful and fit, we cannot indulge in a bottle of wine with friends or a plate of pasta. I don't know if in United States is in this way, but in Italy, it is like that.
I'm actually surprised to hear that it's that way in Italy. I feel like Americans' perceptions of Italians and Italian women is that concept of freedom, that you can drink wine, you can eat pasta, you can look like Sophia Loren and still be healthy and accepted for what you do and how you look. It's very interesting to me that it's not that way coming from your perspective as an Italian woman who lives that life every day. It's definitely here the idea of, you have to be thin and you have to watch what you eat. And if you drink too much, it's considered a problem. If you drink wine every day, that's an issue from a medical perspective as well as a social perspective. So I hadn't ever known the Italian side of it. So you taught me something today.
Yes, we live in a society where everything of what you say is true, but the first important things for a woman is to be beautiful. Okay, and to be beautiful means nowadays to be not how can I say oversized. You have to be thin. Mm-hmm. Okay. In Italy, sure. I don't know if in United States. I think all over the world.
Yeah.
And so there is the many. Believe me. I meet so many women that told to me, "Oh no, I don't drink wine because I'm teetotal." At the end of the evening, you can find them with a glass of wine in hand, and then you ask to them, "But sorry, you told me that you are teetotal." "Oh no, wine have too many calories. I drink only a glass of wine at the end." Okay, so for this reason, to come back to my blog, for this reason, I think that to take pleasure with food and wine without guilt is our new symbols of female emancipation. This is very important for me because I want to communicate to all the women that you can have a bottle of wine with your friends, have nice food, all in moderation, but you can enjoy, you can take pleasure, you have to have a healthy style of life, make some gym and so on, but not to be fixed or crazy about, and you can be beautiful. Maybe more beautiful because you are more happy with wine and food, with good wine and good food in your life. At least, and finally, in my blog and in my books, there is another important aspect that I carry on, the fact that wine and food are extremely sensual and that they are instrument of seduction. One of the most intriguing things, in my opinion, to play with partner, and one of the stronger gesture of love. For me, in fact, one of the most beautiful love phrases is, "Darling, what can I prepare for dinner for you?" And I like to surprise my partner with blind wine tasting. Of course, I never had a teetotal boyfriend, Kim.
I don't think I ever have either. So you're really doing that. The way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And I think that a lot of men would agree that when you have a woman who cares about what you eat and prepares lovely meals for you, that is quite a romantic gesture.
Yeah, I think so.
Francesca, how do you say, "What can I prepare for dinner" in Italian so I can use that on my wife?
Yes. Do you ask to your wife this?
No, I want to ask her the question so I can surprise her.
Okay,
how can I say it in Italian?
In Italian we say, "Tesoro, cosa ti preparo per cena?"
Okay, I'll just say, "What can I prepare for dinner?" Because I'm no good.
I can write that one out for you, Mark.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And how did you come up with the name Geisha Gourmet for your website? Is there something behind that?
Yeah, yes, sure. I would like a name that make understand immediately that we talk in a feminine style, okay? But more of this, I would like a name for my blog that explain the passion and the addiction for food and wine. You know, geisha artists, they study so many years to become a geisha, and they have great passion. And so I would like to pair this concept with the concept of gourmet, because I'm a very passionate about food and wine, and I study all day something more to know, to be prepared, to understand better day by day this beautiful world.
You're listening to The Wonderful World of Wine, and we are your hosts, Mark and Kim. You can find us on Facebook at The Wonderful World of Wine and past episodes on SoundCloud. Welcome back to The Wonderful World of Wine. We have a very special guest with us today. We are speaking to Francesca Negri, who is chatting with us all the way from Northern Italy. And we are speaking to her about her blogs, her books, and we'll speak a little bit about her TV show coming up in a few minutes. So Francesca, we were just talking about the concept of your blog and who your audience is, and adding this feminine touch to wine appreciation, food appreciation, this sort of concept of food and wine as sensual and something to really be enjoyed. I've watched a couple of episodes of your show, and I really like that your work it's charming, but it's also a little irreverent, and you're, very unapologetic about this lifestyle. This deep, getting deep into wine is something really to be enjoyed. And I was wondering how you have been perceived by other people in the wine industry, whether they're salespeople or producers. There's a lot of really stuffy people in the wine world, especially here in the US. And for someone like you who's come into it, who has a different style maybe than people are expecting, I was wondering about your impact on the industry.
This is a good question. I started more than 15 years ago, and it wasn't easy at first. I never wanted to deny my femininity, fashion, clothes, high heels, to feel me beauty, to try to be taken more seriously. Moreover, I talk about wine in a less technical, more popular way. And this was not usual for the sector 15 years ago. But over time, however, everyone appreciated my style, and I must say that now great men and women in the world of wine appreciate my work very much, and I am honored because I changed a little bit the way that we use to write and to talk about food and wine. And after all, describing wine with simplicity is not all trivial. You have to know everything from a technical point of view, and then you translate it into simple words for the general public that does not understand, but the general public is my target. They are them to whom I want to tell all the magic of wine, to get them to go out and buy that bottle or go to visit that winery.
That's something that we run into too, the difference between having wine language that is too technical for people, but then you also don't want people to feel dumb about asking basic questions, finding the language to get across to them the wonder and, like you said, the magic of the wine, but using language that people can understand and really use.
This is the key, I think.
You just mentioned that your audience is the public, and your blog is in Italian. A lot of your writings are in Italian, but your TV show is in English. So when I started watching it, and there's all these subtitles, and people are speaking Italian, and people are speaking French, and you're speaking English. I'm like, who is she trying to appeal to? I got a little confused. I just wanted your perspective on your market and your audience and who you are aiming some of these different types of media at?
Well, talking about my work in Italy, like journalist and writer and blogger, as I said before, my target is the general public with an eye on the women. So much so that even my latest book, Vino Pret-a-Porter is the name of the book, is a wine manual for girls to dress into the role of a wine lover in no time. However, in the end, 60% of my readers are male, even of my romance novel, which always have a wines as a common trait. That men are curious to know how we women approach wine, life, and love. So mainly my public is my follower, mainly are men.
It's so interesting.
Most of your books, Francesca, are not available in English, correct?
Correct, because we tried to put them English market, US market, or UK market, and so on, but nobody wants them. And only the last one, Vino Pret-a-Porter, is translated in Hungarian.
But I know I searched and I was only led to Amazon in Italy. And I do follow all the content I can of you on sites that I can translate. And you translate very well into English on the content you put. So that works for me.
And I can read probably half your blog. So I get the general gist of what you're saying. My Italian's not great, but it's enough that I can read a wine blog. I'm like, oh, I know what she's talking about. I'm going to use it to brush up my Italian. So I'm going to read your blog all the time now.
Yeah, good. Thank you. But I have public mainly from Italy on my blog, but all over the world. And the second nation is the United States. So maybe because there are many Italians in the United States, I don't know, but.
So we have to tell the listeners, Francesca, the way I discovered you, not only social media, but I'm this big wine geek where I look for any documentaries, any wine shows I can find. I'm on the treadmill one day and I discover the Wine Passport series by you, which I thought was a phenomenal concept. So if anyone has Amazon Prime, search Wine Passport, you'll see Francesca. The whole concept behind the Wine Passport show was, in the beginning, Francesca grabs the person's passport, takes them on an adventure. I'm like, where's she going with this? Because it's such an unusual concept for a wine show. But I have to tell you, Francesca, this was phenomenal. You took us to places in Italy, and one of my favorite Franciacorta producers, Ca del Bosco, you brought us there. You introduced those people. You took us into the vineyards. The show is phenomenal. How did you come about this idea? And please tell me it will return.
Thank you, Mark. I'm so happy that you love it. Well, Wine Passport was born from my desire to tell foreigners about wine as an Italian. I was tired of seeing our Italian wine and our lifestyle being told by foreigners for foreigners, because it is clear that not being Italians, they could not cover everything that represents food, wine, conviviality, landscape, territory for us. We feel a different way. So I decided to set up a very ambitious production made for the web, but like it was made for television. We made 5 episodes that totalized more than 2 million views on YouTube. And after 3 years, during the spring 2020, the last spring lockdown, an American production company accredited with Prime Video USA and UK asked us to be able to hire the program. And it was a dream come true for me. Now, however, due to COVID, we are stopped. And in addition to this, Prime Video has blocked the possibility of external companies to upload content. And therefore, we are waiting to understand what will happen. Too bad, because Wine Passport, Mark, is doing well in terms of views. And we think audiences might be interested in a second season. Let's see. Now we are stopped.
Well, that's really disappointing.
I'll push for it. I'm glad you talked about the view of seeing foreigners promote Italian wine. One of the big things for me is when I'm looking for Italian wine education, I'm actually seeking out Italians who are teaching it, because the passion, and they've lived it, they know it so well. So I'm thinking on the same page as you, where you're seeing it being misrepresented. I see it over here being misrepresented on an education side. So I wanted to talk to you about wine education trends in Italy. Do Italians have the same passion for the U.S. wines that we do for Italian wines?
If you had to think of me, I would answer yes. The last American wine I was lucky enough to uncork was Opus Wine Vintage 2000 a few months ago. Yes, it was crazy.
Gotta have our lockdown enjoyment and open the really good bottles, right?
But I think Opus One is one of the wines to drink once in a life. It's incredible wines. Wow experience. But I love Pinot Noirs from Oregon or also from California. In my family is one of my favorites. I really like your Chardonnays and of course Cabernet and Merlot. Streaming Eagles is a myth for me and for all. But unfortunately, you have to know there are not many American wines in Italy. And this obviously does not allow us to get to know your production better. I would very much like to be able to drink more wines from the United States. I'm curious. I think that at any moment I could discover a new wine that conquers me, and they have no borders. I love wines from Lebanon, Chateau Moussard in premise, first of all, from New Zealand, from South Africa. Let's not talk about Spain. Recently, I also tasted some wines produced in China.
Mm-hmm.
You know how they always say to enjoy, to have pleasure, you don't have to set limits.
So what about the education? Are there people in Italy teaching American wines, teaching like the AVAs in America?
The only school that teach about American wine is WSET.
And they're based out of London. So it's yeah.
But you know,
because
now
we have that here too, the WSET program.
yes, because it's the program for Master of Wines.
Right.
If you want to be a Master of Wines, you have to attend WSET, no others. And you know, in Italy, we have schools of WSET that you don't have to go to London to make the exams or to attend the courses, but you can attend the courses in some cities and some location in Italy. And when you attended the WSET courses, they talk about and put in the tasting American wines too. But it is the only one. You know, in Italy, if you want to learn about wines, you have the associations of sommelier. You can attend the courses, but they make you study and taste only Italian wine and French wine.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So there is no many changes to drink American wines or South Africa wines or New Zealand wines. In the same ways, we are very focused on Italian and French wine now. Another trend is wines from Mosella.
Oh,
Riesling, yes, they are coming on trends in Italy and no others. I love Spanish wine, but you can find very few labels, very few wineries like American. I know quite well Spanish wine because I love Spain and I go for my holidays every year in Spain. And so I drink Spanish wine and I know quite well their wines, but in Italy you can find them in the
that's
same.
That's one of the growing popular categories here in the US is Spanish wine.
But I think it's going to be popular in Italy too because they have beautiful wines with value for money. Very interesting. So, in my opinion, the next emerging nation, wine nation, is sure Spain. Emerging is it's a long tradition region, but for the wine lovers, for the general public, I think it is going in these ways, but not now because COVID stopped everything. So
yeah, COVID affected Kim's trip to both Spain and Italy this past year too. So
yeah.
So, Francesca, what do you consider yourself in the wine world? Is it social media influencer? Is it a wine educator? Is it a wine lover? Because reading your blog, your website. You're an educator, your passion for wine shows, but you definitely have that social media influence going on as well.
Yes, but first of all, I am a journalist and a writer. But my readers have also made me a social media influencer too. To be precise, the second most followed wine influencer in Italy. I have
Wow.
116,000 followers. Maybe I am well ranked even at a global level. I don't know. But however, first of all, Mark, I am a wine lover who was lucky enough to make this great passion a good part of her work. I am a wine lover, first of all.
It shows in your TV shows. I someday I hope to read your books, love your blogs. And in your blogs, you had some stories. You mentioned earlier about women getting together. Do you have a bunch of friends that you get together and talk wine and come up with these ideas?
Well, I always say that what I write about wine and food is my life and my experience. And it is the experience that I made with my girlfriends, with my boyfriends, with my friends all over the world. So I write about what I know, what I feel, and what I think me and people's feel when they share food or a bottle of wine.
And I can't wait for COVID to be over so that I can do that with my girlfriends again. And we can just sit and eat and drink and talk about wine and do all those wonderful things that we've missed.
Yeah, I think the same. It's one of the things that I think we all are waiting to can do. The first thing we will do to go out, meet our friends and have and cheers. And cheers with the glass, because I don't know if it's the same in United States, but here in Italy we use in this lockdown time to make a Zoom call with friends.
Yeah. Same here.
Each friends have a bottle of wines, and so we drink wines looking in the laptop or in the phone. And but it is not the same, because to be together and to touch and can see in person your friends is another thing.
Well, hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Francesca, for sharing this passion for wine and food and culture. And I just think it's amazing what you're doing. I'm glad our listeners got to hear you today. I'm sure everyone's loving the accent here in the United States, right, Kim?
I'm just really glad that we got to meet Francesca. Like, even though it's, many miles away and over a Zoom screen, I was really excited for this interview, and I'm so glad we got to talk to you today.
But I hope to meet you soon. I hope to come in United States soon and meet you and share with you, Kim and Mark, a bottle of wine and a restaurant dinner.
Well, I'm hoping to go to Italy next year, so that would be wonderful.
Perfect. I'm waiting here too.
Fantastic. Thank you for listening to us today on The Wonderful World of Wine. We've been your hosts, Mark Lenzi and Kim Simone, and special guest, Francesca Negri. Her website is geishagourmet.com, and we have really enjoyed having you on the show today. Chin chin.
Chin chin.
Wine, wine, wine.